Hi guys. Hello. I have a little special guest that came over for dinner tonight. Just briefly, some of you know Sam.
Hello.
Some of you remember Sam from the early days if you've joined on the Saturday sessions that we're still doing. But anyhow, so he came over for dinner and Nick made bolognese and it was very good. And my dad came over too and Sam said, Mom, what time are you on? And I said, 6:30. And he said, well, I want to stay until you start so I can say hello.
Pins?
Yes, I make pins. Oh, hold on, guys. Hang on. I don't know. Honey, I know how to do this.
I'm just better at YouTube than you, Mom.
No, but actually you're not, because this is what we need to do. Oh, gosh. Anyhow, if you were with us in the early days, you remember Lael and... They're cute, I know.
Yeah.
You remember Lael and Sam, like, mother, son, bickering back and forth.
Hello, Kim.
All right.
Kim Pope.
Oh, yes. Kim is like your number one. Kim was so upset, Sam, when you moved. She's like, he didn't even talk to us about it yet. So good, Kim. I'm glad you're here because that's fun. Then you got to, I was hoping you'd be because then you got to see Sam.
I wonder
All right.
Vicky's watching.
No, Vicky is doing a thing with scrapbook.com right now. She has a national scrapbook day thing that she's doing tonight. Yeah, because it's all a big party weekend, Sam. Your kind of party, right? Yeah, no. All right, sweetie. Goodbye. Thank you.
My kind of party.
Yeah, all right.
Love you, well.
Love you too.
Bye.
All right, friends. Hello. Good evening. If any of you are new, usually I don't start that way, but when your quasi-adult 20-year-old son comes over for dinner and asks if he can say hello at the beginning of your video, what do you say, right? I say, okay, sure. Okay, guys, I have to look down really quick and see who we have. So we have Kim, we have Regina, Joanne. Joanne, I'm so sorry you don't have your kit yet. Darn it. Hopefully tomorrow. That, I tell you, the mail between the U.S. and Canada sometimes is just frustrating. Although sometimes, probably a couple of you have had this happen. You're like, why did my order go all the way to Kansas and then across Utah, even though it came from Utah, and then back to California? Who knows what the post office does, right? So we have Kelly and Sherry and Melissa and Jeanette and Kathy. I know, I hope, Joanne. Hopefully it's there tomorrow. And it doesn't tell me other than it just said it arrived in Canada. But from what I've seen, it looks like usually when that happens that it's hopefully close to you. We have Bev. Hi, Bev. Hi, Cheryl. Okay, friends. So who's ready to get their Traveler's Notebook set up for May? Yes? Good. If you are new and this is your first time ordering the bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook kit, welcome. We will do 2 different videos. So tonight we will be doing the setup for May. And then in May, we will be doing the setup for June. So I apologize that we are cutting it so close to the wire for May. Usually I like to give about a week before a new month starts. But one of the collections that we're using, the Sunkissed collection that we're using for June, is brand new from Simple Stories. And so I literally got it and then started shipping literally that day. So anyhow, but if you're new, welcome. There's a live chat that takes place when we do these. And if you want to pop into the chat and say hello, I'd love it if you did that. And then I also know that the others watching, it's fun just to kind of know who's here. And if you want to pipe in and say where you're from, then that people kind of start figuring out that maybe they're not too far from each other, which is kind of cool. So if you are new, welcome. And those of you that have been with me for a long time, welcome to you too. I think we're in our 4th year of doing these. So, and this is just what I do. I set my Traveler's Notebook every month and it just kind of turned into a, hey, maybe other people would like this too. And then here we are. So, if you are not able to make it to the live and you're watching this on the replay, welcome to you too, because I know that's what happens, right? Just life. And when it's a weeknight, I know sometimes it's hard. And then we try to figure out the best time to do it for West Coast to East Coast. And then if you're, in Europe, then sometimes that's a whole other deal. So however you're joining, welcome. All right, guys, I have to look under again. Still getting used to the new glasses. Right, so Nancy's went to LA, so it went even further west than Utah, then to go to Ottawa back east. So who knows, right? Your first live chat, Bernadette, welcome from Manitoba. Oh my gosh, that is so fun. We have a lot of Canadians that do mail by mail things. And I think that is because, I don't know, you guys would have to tell me. I've taught a number of Crop and Create events across Canada. And that's like we could sit down and I could tell you stories of being stuck in immigration offices in the middle of the night and then wanting to send me home and missing flight. I could tell you so many stories, but we won't do that because we'd be here for a long time. Let's see. Chris, you missed April. You know what? Oh well, right? Use it for April next year or do something with it or not, right? Sometimes there's only so many things you can squeeze in, and if this is something that you didn't get squeezed in, then that's okay. Right? All right. Bev, so you should actually, with your kit, when I ship the kit has everything you need for 2 months. So the kit for this month, when you received it, has both May and June in it. So the June part of the kit, what did I do with that? Oh, right. So the June part of the kit is using Sunkissed. So there's 3 papers here and a 12 by 12 sticker sheet that is part of, hang on a sec. Okay, good, it's there. I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. That could be a problem. Anyhow, no, we're good. So you should have June, May and June came together in the same bag, in the same box. But we'll do our setup for June in May. So I haven't said anything out about that yet. Usually I try to do that about mid-month. So stay tuned for that. And I hopefully answered your question, if that was the question that you had. Oh, Bernadette, that is so sweet. That is so fun. Joanne, you found out a Crop and Create secret today. Actually, I think I think it's public if we're talking about the same secret. What Joanne's talking about, and I'll just talk about this for a second because I mentioned Crop and Create. Crop and Create is an event that up until the last year, the last 12 months, was always an in-person event that took place in different areas across Canada. I taught in Calgary, I taught in Winnipeg, I taught in Manitoba, I taught in, Toronto, right? So I've taught at a number of those. Well, with COVID, they weren't meeting in person, they weren't having the events in person, so they are now virtual, and that is called Crop and Create Delivered. So it was just announced today that I am one of the 4 instructors for Crop and Create Delivered for November, this coming up November. And of course, I'll be doing an awesome class about Traveler's Notebooks. So, yes, I think that, I don't know, Joanne, is that the secret? Because if it's not, then I don't know what the secret is. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Yes, okay. Hi, Shannon. All right, friends, let's go ahead and get started. I have to tell you, though, so if you don't know, I live in Utah. And spring in Utah is always really crazy. We had a lot of snow a couple weeks ago. We had a lot of rain last week. And of course, it's like 75 degrees today, which is beautiful. But as usual, I'm having my own little personal summer. So I have a fan going in here as soon as I turn on the studio lights. So it's going to get a little warm. So just know that that's happening in my world. And I hope that that's over soon sometime if you're going through that, like for the last, seems like 28 years, like I am. Well, not really 28, but yes, it's the whole premenopause thing, which can't wait till that's done. So I may be glistening a little bit later when you see me again. All right. Okay, friends. Hi, Marie. Okay, friends. So I am going to flip the camera. Oh, I know. Okay, really quick though. I will tell you. I think most of you know about our Saturday sessions, yes? So for the last, 60 weeks or something, we've been getting together every Saturday here on YouTube. And we've taught Traveler's Notebooks, but the last probably 30 some odd of those, we've been doing creative listing. And this Saturday, and those of you that are scrapbookers know this, but this Saturday is holiday in the crafting world, and it's called National Scrapbook Day, but then we also want to be inclusive of everyone. So some of us call it International Scrapbook Day, but huge celebration here on YouTube on my channel this Saturday. So you can come and go as you please. You don't have to have a kit because there really is no kit. It's not like this, but we'll have lots of fun. So, but what I was leading to there is tomorrow, I have a lot to do tomorrow to get ready. There's going to be lots of big sales. some new bundled products that I have coming, but I am also will be testing out, and hopefully tomorrow I'll really get it tested out, some new software where I don't have to flip the camera. There'll be actually two cameras. One camera you will see me this way. The other camera you will see facing down. Not me facing down, but you'll be seeing my desktop where I'm working. And then it's really easy to like flip back and forth between the two. And I think I can even like have them both going at the same time. So hopefully Saturday, hopefully I'll have that figured out by then. So kind of stay tuned for that. Anyhow, but for now we do have to spin the camera. So we're back in like the analog age. Where we have to still do some things manually. So I am going to flip the camera, arms and legs inside the right at all times. If you get dizzy, maybe close your eyes for a sec, and then I will turn the lights, and then I will take off my top layer here because I'll be dying. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to spin the camera in 1, 2, 3. All right, there we go. We good? I won't know until I'm like a second delayed here, so hang tight. Wee! I know, right? Wee! Hi, Robin. And Nancy. Okay. Oh, Joanne, yes, I know. Vicky's big Lollapalooza. That will be fun. So you're excused. Don't worry, you're excused. All right. So let me get the lights pulled in here. Hang tight. And the later and later that it gets in the spring, summer, the less and less I have to do this, but we still kind of see some shadows. So sweater coming off, long duster cardigan, whatever, coming off. I think part of my problem is too, there's some neighbors that I walk with. Yes, Sam. What are you doing? Oh, you're leaving? Okay. Thank you. Oh my goodness, big hugs. Ouch. Oh, ow. Okay. Thank you.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too. Goodbye. Thank you. You hurt your mother.
No.
All right, guys. Okay.
You're just weak.
Okay. All right.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right, guys. Now we're ready, right? Okay. So, I don't even know where I was, but I think we're good now that we have those lights in, so it's nice and bright. Okay. So, for the month of May, we are using brand new collection from My Mind's Eye called Wild Asparagus. So when you grab the things from your kit, this is what you will be using for the month of May. We have these two 12 by 12 papers, and oh my gosh, these, as soon as I saw this collection, I knew, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna use it because I just love it. It's just so happy and cheery, and I love lemons, but the pink and the stripe, you know what, Kim, it is a little bit different, right? It is a little bit different than the norm. I use Simple Stories a lot. Sometimes I use Echo Park. Sometimes I use American Crafts, but sometimes I feel like we need to mix things up a little bit. So yes, it is a little bit different. So I have both of these papers that we'll be using. We also have a full package of their die cuts. There's a lot of fun things in here that we'll use, but you are going to have a lot of pieces left over that we'll talk about some ideas on what you could do with those. Then you have I know, right, Kim? No cards and no stickers. It is different, right? And I have to switch things up a little bit. And we'll talk about why I kind of decided to do it this way this time, at least for the May portion of the kit. You will have an insert. Your insert may look like this. It may be a little bit different, but it doesn't matter because we cover the insert. So really, we're not going to see that at all. You also will have a popsicle stick. So with the popsicle stick, you have 18 inches of 2 different designs. And I bet you can tell, I bet you can tell which one we're using for which. We're using that yellow for this month. And then you'll save this other side of the popsicle stick for next month. All right. One thing that I also pulled out as I was unloading my Traveler's Notebook setup for April, I pulled this guy out. So this guy, if you had purchased the kit, this is something that we made for as part of the Spring Traveler's Notebook kit. You guys know how much I love my little pom-poms, right? And so we had created this little double pom-pom thing. But I think if you still have this, and if you still like the pom-poms, you could, instead of this little thing we're going to make, you could tuck this right in there because the colors the colors still go pretty well. So I always encourage you to keep these because you can just keep using them over and over. It doesn't matter, there are bunnies there because we don't see it. So that's an option that you have if you had that from last month. All right, so let's go ahead and get out our trimmer. I am using the Champagne Traveler's Notebook. And this is one of my favorites to use, my cover, just because it's super neutral, right? The cover it's a little bit, it's not really, I don't know, it's not really sparkly. It's just a little bit, maybe a little tiny bit shimmery. So I love that it's super neutral here, but then the inside is super neutral. And when we're working with different colors, sometimes it's nice to have a traveler's notebook that has a really neutral inside. But I say, I do me, this is what I do, and you do you. So if you have a bright purple traveler's notebook and you want to use your bright purple traveler's notebook, oh, that just reminded me, I need to plug in, hang on. I need to plug my phone in so we don't run out of power along the way. That just reminded me because I caught my watch for a second. This is going to be a squirrel moment. I had started to say at some point that I think one of the reasons why I was still very warm was because there's some neighbors that I walk with. And this morning we did a 6-mile walk and it was fast. We walk really fast. And I don't think I've ever quite cooled down from that. So yes, scatter. I know, right? It happens. He's with us. So he's with me, whether he really is or not. He's always with me in spirit. Okay, anyhow, I was talking about I'm using champagne, but you use whatever color you want. If you have bright purple, you do you. You can use whatever color you want. Okay, so let's grab out our trimmer. And as we prepare to cut, there are a couple of things that I want to point out. So if you haven't cut yet, hang tight. Because this is actually the second time. This will be my third set of papers. Because the first set that I cut, I wasn't really thinking. And then when I went to slipcover, I'm like, oh, shoot. I don't really like the way that looked. So let's talk about something. Let's first talk about a stripe. So you have a stripe and the stripe runs two ways, right? If you think about a piece of wood and you're cutting a piece of wood, if I were to cut with the grain and a grain of wood, I would be cutting this way, right? This would be cutting with the grain of wood. And if I were to cut against the grain, then I would be cutting this way, right? I'd be cutting against the grain. So when you are working with a stripe paper, there's really no right or wrong way to cut it. Oh, Chris, I bet the navy is really pretty, especially since you have some blue in here. I bet that's really striking. So when you have a stripe, depending on how you cut it, it's going to look different, right? So this is how I cut mine. I wanted my stripe running horizontal, and that is definitely the way that I prefer to have a stripe. I like the stripe horizontal because that way you get lots of little pieces of lots of stripe, right? If I cut it differently, and let me show you, I think I still have it. Let's see. There's that one, hang on. Let's see if this piece is still in here. Thanks, Dad. It is not in here. So, oh, it is actually. I didn't slip cover. Once I realized what I had done. So let's just look at the two different ways and what you would end up with. This is how I first cut it, which is still beautiful, right? It's still a nice stripe, and I still get lots of, color and dimension. However, when I do this, and then I go to cover my insert like this, well, I have I have a few long, skinny stripes, right? As opposed to having a lot more kind of shorter stripes, right? So nothing wrong with either way. It's just for me, the one on the left, the horizontal stripe, I prefer the horizontal stripe versus the vertical stripe. So when we go to cut, you just want to think about how you want to put your paper in the trimmer based on which end result you want, whether it's the horizontal or the vertical. Does that make sense? Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, holy cow, it sounds like you've been through the ringer. I hope that you're feeling okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So when I go to cut this, the way that I want to cut it is, I don't want to cut it this way, because if I cut it this way, I'm going to end up with my long strips. So I'm going to rotate it, all right? And I want to cut this at 8 1/4. I cut it at 8 1/4 because my inserts, that's how tall my inserts are. They're 8 1/4. So I know it looks kind of weird though, because it looks like the way I'm cutting it, it looks like it's the wrong way, right? But then once we turn it, it's not. So there we go. There's my 8 1/4. And then when I go to slip cover, my stripes are horizontal. So again, no right or wrong way of doing it. Sometimes you just have to think about how you want to do that. I'm going to come in and actually now cut that product strip off. We don't want to cut the product strip off the next piece of paper. All right, so save this guy. I need to get this out of here. I will for sure get confused later. All right, so that is our first one. Now, for the second piece we're also going to cut at 8.25, right? At 8 1/4. On this one, you want to think a little bit about where you're cutting. And I said, this is my third set of papers. The first set, I realized I didn't like the way I cut them. The second set is my example. This is the third set, so I'll make sure to do it the right way, at least the right way for me. Again, so when I first cut it, this is what happened. So I cut from the top. I basically just put this in my trimmer. Well, I put it in my trimmer this way, and I cut it at 8.25, which should have been fine. However, when I went to slip cover, I went, oh, that's weird. I mean, I have my main squeeze up here and I have my main squeeze down here. And then I have this nice lemon in the center, but I'm going to cover that up and then it's just going to be weird. That's why I used another piece to cut it. So what I did, I'm cutting it this way. So I want the product strip still on. I'm going to leave that on and I will cut here at 8 1/4. Because now I have a much better placement for all of those little lemons, right? So if you look at the two, look at the difference. If I put a piece of paper right there, I really didn't have very many lemons, and then I had my main squeeze and my main squeeze, and it was too weird for me. Now, we don't do this often, but I left that product strip on. The reason I left the product strip on is because it's really cute, and it's cute with this. So we're just using that as part of our 8 1/4, and it just makes a nice little border for us along the bottom. Okay. Last thing that we want to do while we have our trimmer out, let me get this one out of the way again. Before we put our trimmer away, I want you to take this piece that is left over, and we're going to cut this to 8 inches. This is what I have used to kind of decorate my side pocket. Okay. So 8 inches. And that makes sure that it will fit right here. All right. So now we can but set aside our trimmer for a while. My dad's so sweet. We had my dad over for dinner, and he made a lot of boxes. So he made lots of boxes for us to be shipping what I think are going to be lots of orders after the weekend because of the big sale that you're going to see on Saturday. Okay, so we need to slip cover. So grab and insert. You have one in your kit. If you've been doing this for a while, you probably have more than one because we need two. If you haven't been doing this for a while, most traveler's notebooks that you purchase, the covers have an insert in them. So we will be slip covering too. So there's my first insert, and I will start out with this one first. Now, you'll notice this paper, this wild asparagus paper, is pretty heavy, right? It's pretty thick. If you were to take out one of the papers from the June portion of the kit, you'll really notice a difference. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with either. There's nothing wrong with the Simple Stories paper. The Simple Stories paper, that weight, is pretty much standard, what most manufacturers do. But every once in a while, you have a manufacturer that will come out with a collection where the paper that they use is just thicker. It's a little bit sturdier, and that's what we have here. Wild asparagus, if you have been around the block for a while in the scrapbooking or crafting world, wild asparagus is something that my mind's eye did, oh my goodness, probably at least 10 years ago, if not more. So it is a kind of brand underneath their My Mind's Eye brand that they have brought a collection back for, which is, I think, is really fun. All right, so we need to fold this guy. And basically, we're going to fold it in half. Anytime that I fold paper, I fold it from the outside in. And what I mean by that, this is going to be my outside, right? This is the outside. So I want to fold the outside in. And the thicker your paper is, the more you'll see this happen. The darker your paper is, the more you will see this happen. Whenever you fold, most of the time when you fold, if you are going to see any breakage of the fibers of the paper, you're going to see that happen on the fold, right? So on the outside of the fold. If you kind of think of a mountain, like this would be a mountain peak, and this would be the valley. You see any fiber breakage of the paper that happens on the mountain. So if I fold outside in, my breakage is going to basically be on the mountain, which is the inside. So there is now my outside is out and my inside is in. But you'll even start to notice, depending on how you folded that or how well you creased it, but you can even see, I'm seeing a little bit of breakage right there. And the breakage, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what happens with paper. The fibers have broken and you see the white core of the paper. So the layer that sits on top with the ink is just separated a little bit. Nothing wrong with it, but that's just a little tip that I have. That's usually what I do. I fold outside in. All right, so now we're going to take our insert. We set our insert right on that fold, right on that crease, right? So there's my crease and my insert is right there. And we're slip covering. So if you are new to the bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook kits, I started doing this, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. I had, it was Christmas, it was December, and I took one of my plain inserts, let's say, something like this. I took one of my plain inserts and I thought, oh, I want to decorate my Traveler's Notebook for Christmas. So I glued Christmas paper on here and I glued lots of little things and it was great for Christmas. But in this case, let's say I was using a daily insert, which probably meant that the end of December, I was still using my insert. And I went, it has Christmas glued to it, and now I need to keep using this in January. Well, that's not going to work. What do I do? That's when I came up with this idea of slip covering. So it kind of is reminiscent, depending on how old you are. When I was in grade school, way back in the day, the first couple of days of school, one of the things you had to do was take your textbooks home and you had to slip cover them or cover them, right? And usually we'd use a brown grocery sack and we'd cover them and it protected the cover. And that's what the school liked, that it protected the books. But what we liked about it was that we got to decorate it, right? And then midway through the school year, if, it started ripping or tearing, that was okay. The textbook was still protected. You just, change out the cover with your grocery bag, and then you'd redecorate it again. So basically, that's exactly what we're doing. What this lets us do then is to take one of our inserts, and we can easily use it from month to month to month without being committed to the lemons. Because as cute as the lemons are right now, I guarantee you when October rolls around, you're like, okay, I'm done with the lemons. I'm ready for Halloween, or I'm ready for fall, or whatever it is. So that whole process of slip covering lets us take our insert and kind of continue to move it forward without being tied to a theme. So there we go. There is our insert, and the left edge of the insert is right where my fold is. And I'm going to open it. Okay, so I'm opening it like that, and I am going to rotate it because it's easier for me to work with if I rotate it. So I'm just rotating it that way. This extra, I just need to fold over, okay? So I will fold that over, and I'm just using that edge of my insert as a guide so I know where to fold that. If I wanted, I could bring out my bone folder and really kind of flatten that down, especially with this paper because it is a little bit thicker. There's the left edge of my slipcover. Now, the washi that you have, I sometimes use and sometimes don't. You can use the washi too, and I usually unwind it a couple times, but that's probably about 3 inches. You can then use the washi to temporarily secure that. And what I mean by temporarily is that basically that is going to be in place until you are ready to remove this slipcover and put on a new slipcover. Now, what I found though is, for the most part, as long as my insert is staying in my traveler's notebook and not going anywhere, I didn't even have to do that. I mean, it is really going to just hold itself in there. So if you want to use the washi to temporarily adhere that, you can. Otherwise, you can use the washi for whatever you'd like. Now, this is the part that's really important. I don't want you to go, oh yeah, I totally get this. Okay, so now all I have to do is this, and I open to this side, and then I flip my paper over. Well, that would work until you go to close it. You need a little bit of extra room to fold around the back side, right? It is not flat. I mean, it's not a, I don't know, one-dimensional piece of paper that we're wrapping a piece of paper around. There is additional room that we need for the paper to wrap around that edge. So in order to make sure that we have the extra paper that we need, what we're going to do is we're going to close the entire thing now. Now, you're going to have this little thing back there that says wild asparagus, but that's the back side, and I figured I don't really care because I really like to have that nice little accent on the bottom. Okay, so I have turned it over. This is the right half, the right side of my slipcover. I've turned it over and I've rotated it. What I want to do is use my finger and press that along the edge of the insert. So that is going to crease, and that's how I know where the edge of my insert is. And then I'm going to lift up that back cover, tuck this under. All right, so that has ensured that I have enough paper, and it's just a little bit extra, but we just need that little bit extra to be able to make the turn here. And that's not going to bow. If you don't do it that way, if you do it this way and then you open it up and then do it this way, once you close it, it will bow. And it's not the end of the world, and you can certainly fix it, but that is my little trick for making sure that it's nice and flat and doesn't bow. Oh, Nancy, let me tell you, hun, I totally agree with you. So Nancy said I really need to get a pair of progressives. I have to take my glasses off to work on and put them back on to read the chat. Yes. And that's me all the time. Just know if you get progressives, I'm still really trying to get used to mine. I can't walk in them. Too dizzy. All right, so there we go. There is our first slipcover. Let's go ahead while we do this, and let's do our second slipcover. I just realized normally we do pockets first, but that's okay. I forgot. All right, so same thing here. This is going to be the outside. I need to get the fan closer. All right, so this is going to be the outside, so we want to fold outside in. If you have a scoreboard, something like that, and if you want to use your scoreboard to score that instead of fold that, you could certainly do that. All right, and then we turn it around, and there's my outside. This just reminds me of the beach. I don't know, it reminds me of a beach towel or a lounge chair or something. I just love it. I love the stripe and the colors, and it just makes me happy. All right, so we take our second insert, and we line up the edge with our fold or crease right there. Open the cover, and I rotate again, just because it's easier for me. I am actually probably, let's see, I bet I am a good 6-8 inches away from this edge to where I'm standing. So normally I'm used to having a really good bird's eye view, like it's right in front of me because I stand when I work. But I don't know. I just explained that. You guys are probably like, I don't really care. Just show me what to do. Just show me what to do. All right, so there we go. I rotated it and I'm using that edge again as my guide so I know where to fold it. And I'm definitely using my bone folder here just because the paper's a little bit thicker. If you don't have a bone folder, really any kind of blunt object. If you have a ruler, right? You could do the ruler along there. It just is going to help secure that crease a little bit more. All right, now you know what to do. We're closing. We're wrapping this over along the back side. And then we're using our little finger to crease that. And we'll tuck that under. Like so. So you can use your washi if you'd like to temporarily kind of hold those in place. But really, as soon as this goes in my insert, as soon as it goes into my Traveler's Notebook, it's really not going to move around a lot because the elastics are holding it in place. You decide if you want to add your washi or not. All right, so let's set these two guys off to the side for a moment. And let's go to our pockets. So depending on what kind of Traveler's Notebook that you have, you may have pockets over here along the left side. You may not. You may have a window over here along the left side. You may not. This one has, well, this is a secretarial pocket. So it is kind of a side pocket that opens. This would just be a plain side pocket. And then I have 1, 2, 3 pockets, and then there's a window in this last pocket. Traveler's notebooks are different, right? Just like people. You might be tall, you might be short, you might have curly hair, you might have long hair, you might, blue eyes or green eyes or whatever it is. With that said, your configuration may be a little bit different than the one that I use here, and that's okay. I don't want you to be worried if your configuration is different. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to decorate the pockets. So, we are using primarily the die cuts to decorate the pockets. So I pulled out a little tray. And I am going to dump my die cuts onto the tray. This is just a tray from the dollar store. But when I have a lot of pieces like this, it's really helpful for me to just put them on something to spread them out. I can spread them out and see what I have, but I can also contain them, right? Because they're contained in this little guy, and I can set it off to the side and work and not have my little die cuts all over the place. So if you have a shoebox lid or a Tupperware or really anything like that, I think it's just helpful to, you can even use like a cookie sheet, really. You just need something to be able to contain those little guys. If you try to contain them in the bag, it's a little bit hard to try to find all the pieces. So we're going to use die cuts this time. Now, most of the time when we are working with the bi-monthly kit, most of the time we are working with a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. On a charger, that's a great idea, Kim. So you guys know a charger plate that you usually put like a dinner plate on top of a charger plate. That's another great idea. There are, dollar store has charger plates too for like for like $1. I just like to contain things. So normally when we are doing our bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook kits, we're using a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. And we are using a paper that looks something similar to this, right? Basically something that we're cutting apart. And we usually use the cut aparts to load the pockets, and then we use the stickers to decorate. Now we're not doing that with the month of May. We're not doing that for a couple reasons. Number one, My Mind's Eye does not do a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. Number two, My Mind's Eye does not do a 12 by 12 paper with little cut aparts like this. So that's where we kind of have fun, because die cuts, they're more expensive, but a lot of times they give us a lot more options. Anyhow, so we're using the die cuts. And then we will use a couple of little pieces that we'll cut to also kind of fill that in. All right, so let's see what we have. As I work, I will have the finished one over here to the left, and I will have the one that we're working on to the right. Let me just make sure really quick that you can see that. For some reason, I am probably like, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds behind. So what I see is, so I'm still just standing here doing nothing while I'm waiting for it to catch up, Now I can see that you can still see what's going on over here. So I will leave them that way. We'll refer to what's happening over here on the left, and I will decorate over here on the right. Okay, so a couple of the pieces that we had left over. This is the piece that we cut off, right? That's the piece we cut off from our 12 by 12 paper. I want to cut about a 3 by 4 piece of this, and I'm not using the stripe, but I'm going to use this side, and I'm going to use this side. It's kind of an anchor right up here in my pocket. So grab your trimmer. Where's my little one? Oh, duh, right here. You have a denim charger plate. Oh, that's interesting, Valerie. So, okay, this is Lael with blonde hair here, so be careful. Not like denim, but it's like just a denim like color pattern on a plastic plate or plate, right? Maybe. I don't think I've ever seen like a denim. Maybe that'd be more like a placemat. Okay, so squirrel. Let's take out our trimmer, and I just have my little guy here. And I will make this be about 3 inches wide. I just need a little something to anchor up here. And basically this is what we would have on a 3 by 4 card, right? We're just kind of making our own. So that's my little anchor right up there. After that, we are looking for, let's try to do this. We are looking for, maybe this will work, hang on. Lift this up here. All right, after it's got a thing layer, oh my gosh, it really has a layer of actual denim, very cool. All right, so we're now digging. We're like hunting for gold. So let's find the pieces that we need. This is the first guy. This really fun card that has the numbers on it, and it says goals. Now, goals didn't particularly work for me. That doesn't mean I can't use it. We'll just cover it up with something else. That will go right there, and right now, actually, that is going right there. Don't worry about securing anything yet or making sure that things are straight or where you want them. We're just kind of going to get everything loaded, and then we'll start to move around a bit. All right, next up, we have a pear. I love the fruit in here. Although I will tell you, these things, I don't know, these are really different. These little pieces are really different. I don't think did I? No, I don't think I really used many of these at all. So if you have those to use for something. Yeah, okay. We are looking for the pear. There we go. Here's the cute little pear. And the pear goes right in there somewhere. And then we have a little light. Well, we know we need the bird, so there's the bird. Let's grab the bird while we are there, and we'll just pop that right there for a sec. Oh, we know we need the envelope, so we see that. I'm looking for kind of a ticket. Looks like a little ticket. See now, if you have a tray, makes a little bit. Yay! Are we good? Oh, we are. Okay, so hang on. Nope, not just you, Regina, but hang on. I have to, hold on. Yeah, there's my chest. Sorry. I'm like a 12-year-old. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's in backwards. Hang on. Oh, heavens. This seriously never happens. Sorry. As I spin here. Hold tight. There we go. All right, well, got to keep you guys on your toes. Whee! Okay, there we go. Well, glad that we were able to be back. Yes, glad we're back. You guys are like, yes, we're glad you're back. Okay, so give me a second in case we lost anyone temporarily, and we'll get going again in a sec. And now I have my hair like pinned behind my head because, oh, it's toasty. Well, I'm sure it's not toasty. It's not toasty. I'm toasty. I'll have a quick sip of lemonade, and then we'll get going again. Terry, are you there? Did you catch us? Okay. So, oh, I know what I was saying. Yes. Vicky is doing, okay, good. A live class tonight, for scrapbook.com. But, if you follow Vicky, well, you don't have to follow Vicky, but you can go back and watch that later. Okay. We're good. We are good. All right, friends. So let's go ahead and continue. I think when we were last working, I had tucked that little ticket in right there. And we're not going to worry about the words, what that says, because we're going to cover most of that up. We'll just use it for the color and then kind of that little shape right there. Next up, we'll take this little round Frisbee. Not a Frisbee, but that's what it reminds me of. And that will go in there. And then I need that little heart. And we're just layering right now, and then we'll go back and start affixing things in a bit. So that we'll just tuck right there for a sec. Our little bird is going to go there. That envelope is going to go there. Now, if you have a pocket, and you have a traveler's notebook like mine, there's a big black area right there. That's the inside of the pocket. That's just the fabric that's underneath. And I definitely don't want that there. So what I need to do is I need to cut a piece of paper. I am cutting a piece of this, and I'm just going to tuck it right there in the pocket. And really, you probably couldn't even really tell that I had done that there. You can see a little bit in the background. I just didn't want the black showing through. Now, if you're using a different traveler's notebook, you may have, let me see if I have a blank one somewhere. Of course not. All of my traveler's notebooks have things in them. Okay, this one. So let's say you're using a traveler's notebook like this, and the pockets are a little bit wider, and there isn't a window pocket down here. That's okay, because really all we're doing is layering. So you can still get the same effect. You may just be like layering things a little bit differently. So don't worry if you're using a different one. All right. So to cut my paper, I'll probably do another, I don't know, probably a 3. That'll probably work. And then let's just see. Which one? Oh, that one, Chris. This one is the Ditzy Floral. That is the Ditzy Floral that is on my website. It's a fun one, right? The inside, I know the inside's so pretty because navy and pink. And you know what? Navy and pink are like my colors. Navy's my logo. And then on my website, I have little accents of pink. So I know that inside of that just makes me so happy. All right. It's the simple things, right? Okay. So now I need to just tuck this in there. There we go. Now my bird comes back here. And my little envelope comes back there. All right, so I think what I'm going to do, I will start kind of getting these in place. Now that I have all the pieces, I will start moving things around a bit. I, though, need to do some outlining, right? I need to outline some of my pieces. So, I could have done these before. Let's do this. I'm just coming in with my black pen and outlining that just to give it a little bit more of an edge. So that guy will go in there, and then I'll do the same thing with this card. And this is just me. It's something that I have done I've been scrapbooking for 24 years, paper crafting, and I've probably been doing that for about 15 of the 24. And I just started doing it one day, and now it's one of those things that I can't not do. If you have inks and you like to ink the edges of things, you could ink the edges, or you just leave it plain. Just makes things pop a little bit more. And really, those are the only 3 pieces that I'm doing that to, because nobody's got time to outline the pear, right? Hi, Jane. Oh my gosh, it's still in trans. Jane, I wish, Jane, you and Jeanette. No, I just had a message that popped up on Facebook in my little iPad here from Jeanette. Janet, right? A couple of you in Canada don't have them yet, and I'm so sorry. I wish there was a way that we could speed things up when between our 2 post offices, right? But Jane, I'm glad you popped on to say hi. And you can hang out, of course, as long as you want. Alrighty, so we need these little guys, and I'm going to start affixing from the bottom up. So I pulled this I loved, because if you know me, what do I say all the time? I always say, you do you. This is so close, you be you. So you do you, you be you, you be you. And I just put that right there. Now, it's not a sticker, right? So I just need to help it stick. And I'm just going to add just a little teeny tiny, I just put 2 very small little dabs of adhesive there. And it'll go right there. So that'll hold it in place for the month while I'm working in my Traveler's Notebook. And then at the end of the month, it'll just pop right off again. Okay. So next up, we have 3 pieces here that I've layered on top of my pocket. One is I guess it's a peach, right? One is a peach and one is a lemon. And it's funny, this collection is really versatile. There's a lot of different things going on in the collection. So we can pick the pieces out that we want to kind of give it a certain look, which in this case, I'm using the fruit. That guy will be right there. And then I did pull in a little tiny bit of flower just to give it some color. But I also wanted to pull in a little bit more blue because we had blue there, and I felt like we needed a little bit more blue down here. So with these guys, I am just going to, again, a little tiny bit of adhesive, not much at all. We're not adhering so this never moves. We just want to adhere it so these pieces stay pretty much in place until we're ready to take them off. And that little guy will kind of go over about there. And then our little, wrong lemon. Now, lemon is a lemon, right? So you can use whichever lemon that you'd like. I used this lemon right there. However, I already put adhesive on the back of that one, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Right there. All right, continuing to work our way up. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive behind that guy. And I want to make sure that I can still kind of see that heart because I like that heart and it gives it a nice pop of color as we're working our way up. Then we have the bird. Now the bird, I have taken a little foam square, and I just take that little foam square and I'm going to adhere it behind the bird's head. I just want the bird's head to lift up a little bit, just so it's not so flat. All right. Then this guy is moving up. I would like to see a little bit more of the flower, not the flower, but, well, yeah, of the flower on there. So I only need to add, again, a little tiny bit of adhesive, and we'll just tuck that right under there. This guy is actually under there. So we'll come back in, slide that down, and I want enough of the blue to be seen, but I also don't want to see partial letters because then it's like, oh, what does it say under there? I don't care about the letters. I just like the color in that little shape. Continuing to work our way up. Actually, we will finish up with this guy because he is on top of those other things. All right. Starting now from the top. I'll add a little bit of adhesive right there. So I need to get that one in place before I start with that next guy. Because the next guy, I also put a little foam square under just so it pops up a little bit. I just want a little bit of dimension there. Oh, I forgot a piece to cover that. Our little pear. I will add a foam square under that one as well. Right there. And then with the heart, either little or big, doesn't really matter. I will take a large one in this case and pop that right about there. All right, so it's looking good for me except for the goals because that just didn't really pertain to what I was doing. So I took this little circle that says sweet and take our pop dot foam square, and that will just go right there over the goals. And that's a great trick. If you ever have something that you don't particularly care what it says, but you still want to use it, cover it up with something else. And then it's just really cute and generic, and it's nice because it's decorative, right? We have some pink flowers there. We have some black and some numbers, and it ties in with the black on the fruit and on the bird and down here, and it's all good. All right, so there is our pocket. Next up, we are going to decorate something for the side pocket. And this is purely decorative for me. I just like to have a little bit of extra something right there because it kind of gets boring. It's a nice place to fill. So let's find, right here. This is the piece that I just slide right there on the side. Now, if for me it's a little bit too wide, I don't want that much sticking out, then I just get my trimmer out and cut it again. But that's fine. So I need a couple more die cuts. I love using tab die cuts like this because they just, they'll give it a nice little side accent here, and we get a little bit of color and we get a little bit of pattern, but it's not something that's really obnoxious or too like prominent, right? So when we have a tab like this, this tab has two parts to it really, right? And if I was maybe making a file folder or something like that, I would for sure use it this way because when I turned the page, I would want to see what was on the back, right? I don't want it to be raw on the back. However, when I'm doing something like this, I can sandwich it like that and put it around there. But if I come in with my scissors and just chop the right side off, that means I have a whole other label now that I can use for something else. So if I'm not going to see the back side of it, there's really no sense in wasting that. I can have it for something else. So let's grab our adhesive again. And in this case, my little tab here, this top part is going to hang off whatever I'm putting it on. So I don't want to come in and put adhesive on the whole thing, right? I only want to put adhesive on that, kind of the left side. So I'll come in with my little tape runner and just do a little bit of adhesive there on the left side. If I had left that sandwich together, so if I hadn't cut that apart, then I could have come in and put adhesive on the whole thing and then just folded it over like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. In that case, the adhesive would be the peanut butter, right? All right, so decide wherever you want that to go. And there we go. So it just gives us a nice little pop of color. Now, I forgot to outline. And I'm really only going to see this part right here, right? I'm going to see that. I'm not really going to see all of this, but I will see a little bit as we tuck in the pocket. Okay, so there we go. And then it's kind of plain right there, right? It's a little bit blank, and so I needed something to go there because it just seemed like, hello, put something on there. So I started looking through what was in here. There are some different options. If you wanted to, you could cut out that little hello piece. That's a lot that you're wasting, but you could do that. You could cut any part of this, like if you wanted to put peachy on there, you could do that, but I didn't do that either. I found the one somewhere in here that said sweet. Now, if you have something else, if you have other stickers from another project or something that you would like to add there, or you want to write something, you could do that. Where would I have found that in here? Oh, there we go. Sweet dreams. So I thought, well, sweet dreams, that doesn't really apply to anything that I'm working on. So dreams, sorry, you're out of there. You're not sweet. You're on your own. And then I came in and just cut off the colored part. So I just have that cream part. Here we go. And then that I am adhering right there, and it just fits perfectly. And because it's the same color, sweet is the same color background as the label, that it pretty much just blends right in. So let's take our little tape runner. Go like that. And our pockets are done. If you have other things, obviously, that you want to add to your pockets, there's all different kinds of things that you can add to pockets, right? Let me just grab a few things here off to the side. Oh boy, you guys almost heard a really loud crash. Like really loud. Let's see here. Hang on, I'm just digging. I won't show you what I'm digging through because, well, I'll kind of show you. Many of these, right? And these are just little clips that sometimes I like to tuck things in pockets, right? So, oh look, like, well, actually that won't work. That's a little charm thing. So that I would dangle from my little guy right there, but those won't work. So, like this, I have that clip. That clip would be really cute. I could just, tuck that right in there. Well, probably not over the bird, but maybe right there. Or if I have snowman. No, I wouldn't add snowman. But if you have any different kind of clips, gold paper clips, anything that's decorative, what did I just do with those guys? I don't know. I had some gold heart paper clips. I don't know what I did with them. Anyhow, but you can tuck whatever you'd like in the pocket. So if you have extra little things, you don't have to leave it this way. You could just come in and start, adding a little bit more to your pockets. Oh, there they are. That's what I was saying. Just little gold paper clips or whatever you wanted to decorate with. If you have other things that you want to decorate with. Okay. So now, snowman, sorry, you're out. So now we're going to move back to the pom-pom dangle thing. Yes. It's cute, right? That's a company called Peach Pom. This is a small business, a girl boss, woman-owned small business that she does really fun things. Miss Modern paper clips. Yes, Kim, those were two, the really big paper clips. I love those. All right. And Kim said Kim's having a Pop Dot emergency. So Kim, if you don't have your Pop Dots or your foam squares, that you can always add them later. Or not add them at all. Okay, we have our two inserts. So let's start with this one first. Now, generally what I like to do with my inserts, because the inserts that we use are rounded. They have a rounded corner. And when we slip cover, we end up with a 90 degree, right? And I would rather have a rounded corner than 90 degree. And that's just my preference. So if you have a corner rounder and you would like to round the corners, you can. That's one type of corner rounder. This is my big crocodile, my corner chomper. So I will just pull that out and round the corner. And then round the corner. Oopsie. And because I have not, well, I washi taped, but then I pulled it off. I was moving around a little bit there. Okay, round the corner. Just a preference thing. So you be you, you do you. If you want to round the corner, you can, but definitely not something you have to do. And while I have this out, I might as well do this one too. It's supposed to be like 85 here this weekend, which for us that's pretty warm for this time of year. It's pretty early yet, but we're also probably not done with snow. I bet we have at least one more snow before all is said and done. Okay, so starting with this guy, I round the corner. We already rounded the corners. I outline. So I will come in with my black Sharpie, like I always do, and outline. And sometimes this is easier, especially, don't let those fall on the floor, that'll make a mess. Especially if you're just starting out outlining. I mean, it's not like you're just starting out flying. I mean, right, it's pretty easy, but sometimes it's easier to do it when it is not on the insert. So it might be easier to take that off, the slipcover off, and then do that if you want to do that. Another trick right here, it sometimes gets a little dicey because you are kind of coming into the wrap where it's rounding the curve. And so sometimes I'll go whoop, accidentally outline right around the corner, which generally I don't want to do. Ooh, that was just a good point. I don't know if you saw me very quickly. how did I have it? Oh, I had it like this and I opened it up and I went, oh, upside down. So, public service announcement. Before you start working on this one, make sure it's the right way. Now, the nice thing is we've slip covered, so if you have it the wrong way, you might be able to fix it, but all right, so, oh, I know what I was saying. Sometimes it's a little bit easier if you open that up, if you are outlining, and it makes it a little bit easier when you get to this side, so you don't go over the mountain on accident. Okay, there we go. So now let's go back to this guy. So we need a few more of our die cuts. I have used that banner that says my number 1. Where did that go? Did I pull it off already? Here we go. And this I'm probably using more for shape and color than I am what it says. The next thing, well, obviously I'm looking for the one that says the best. I am looking for that piece, which kind of looks like a little label. And then looking for this piece, a few of my favorite things. So where is that little right? I don't know, there's like 60 some odd pieces in this pack. So sometimes you're looking for, oh, there it is. All right, so there we go. The stripes, I know, I do too. That stripe just, I love it. All right, so there are 4 pieces that we're going to use for the cover. And we need to layer. So we're starting with this piece first. And it doesn't really matter which way it's turned because we're really only going to see the stripe. Actually, it may, because now that I look at mine, you get a lot more stripe, a lot more color this way because it's kind of thin down there. So, and this just lays flat. So we'll go about, I don't know, right there. We're kind of right at the bottom of that, towards the bottom of that lower leaf on the lemon. And then we have this guy. And this is where I am using foam squares. Oh, goodness. Whoops. Foam square stuck on the backside. All right, so foam squares, I will do just a couple here. I think maybe I'll do like one right there and one right there. I like to have dimension in my projects, but when you're working in a traveler's notebook, it's a little bit harder to have dimension, right? Because if you're putting dimension in your pages, let's say I put a big old pop dotted thing right here. Well, as soon as I turn the page and start working right here and I write, it's gonna go and it's gonna make a mess because I'm basically going to fall off of the pop dot that was underneath there. So harder to use dimension when you're inside an insert, but easy to use dimension on the cover, right? Because we won't have that problem. So that's why I like to use dimension a lot on the covers and then in the pockets. All right, and then I did a small one there and a small one right there. And will just come probably about right there. It is just a little bit over the leaves on both of those lemons. Okay, next up is this guy, a few of my favorite things. Now, it's kind of long, and I want it to tuck under a little bit, about like that, there. But then I can't have it hanging off the edge because that's just weird. So what I will do is I'm going to come in and adhere this, and then I will, actually, you know what? Let's do this guy first. I think we'll do this guy first, and then this guy will just slide right in underneath it, just so we know where we are. So with this one, we don't even have to worry about any adhesive or anything because, any pop dot, because it'll automatically pop because it's on top of that. All right, so I want to leave a little bit of white right there under that label. So a little bit of contrast. And now this guy, I'm not going to cut it yet. We'll slide this guy. All right, Let's come in and cut a little bit of this guy off maybe. Slide it in right there. And I still want a little bit of that line. That line that's on the top and the bottom, I still want to see a little bit of that line. So I'll put that right there. And then I will come in with my scissors and snip off that little guy that's poking off the edge. All right, so there's our first insert. All ready to go for whether we're listing or this is your, well, that's just a regular old lined insert. So whether you're listing or making notes or a journal or whatever you're using that for, there's your first insert. Okay, now let's go to our second one. I'll take this little guy. We'll slide that right through one of our elastics. Doesn't matter which one. If I am going to fill this up with if I'm going to fill up all 4 elastics with inserts eventually, then I want to put my first one in either one of those two first elastics. Doesn't matter which one, because they'll kind of slide back and forth as opposed to putting them right there. All right, here's our next one. And our next one, we're basically just going to be doing some layering again. We need 3, well, kind of 4 pieces, but we'll start out with 3. That tag. Oh, isn't it funny? See, now I'm seeing this, and I didn't see that before when I was working. It's funny because the more and more you like sift through things, you're like, oh, look at that. That would be fun. Oh, look at that. That would be fun. All right. Happy. This little guy that says the only way to have a friend is to be one. And then I started playing around with these and I'm like, yeah, something is missing, right? It's kind of too disjointed. I need something to like anchor it all. So we still have some paper left, right? We still have this guy left. So I am going to cut a piece from this piece that we have left over that we cut off. This is about 3 inches by 4.5. Oh, that's not going to work because I'm not going to be able to see a 4.5. So there's 3. We'll just do this. About 3 1/4 by 4.5 ish, right? Ish is good because that's just what I picked. All right, how's everybody doing? We hanging in there? All right. So now I am dying of heat, you guys. I gotta tell you, holy cow! All right, here we go. Outline this guy. I don't know, when I was walking this morning, one of my neighbors was like, oh yeah, I've been going through that for like 10 years. And I'm like, shut up. Please don't say that. Yeah. All right. So this little guy will go there. And now we have a nice just kind of anchor, right? It'll just kind of help to pull everything together. Everything else was just kind of floating. So that's good. Anywhere. I usually, when I put something right there, Nancy, you guys good. You're keeping up. I'm glad. And you know what? Here's the thing. If you're not keeping up, that's okay. Because the beauty of doing what we're doing is that you can pause anytime. You can rewind at any time. And if you've paused and or rewound, then you can fast forward. But you can also come back and watch it at any time, right? So that's the beauty of, it's one of the silver linings of doing things like this. What's interesting, I had mentioned towards the beginning that we're in our 4th year that I've been doing these bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook kits. Well, you guys, really until COVID hit, I was recording them. I wasn't doing them live. And then when COVID hit and I started doing a bunch of live stuff, I'm like, well, that's silly. Why not do these live? Because otherwise you guys would just be watching me. And I think it's more fun. It's definitely more fun for me when there's a little bit of interaction going on. And I know that I'm not talking to myself. But I think sometimes it's more fun for all of us. Okay, so tag, I also am coming in and outlining. Right, we gotta look for the silver linings where we can. Because I used to travel all over the world and teach in person. But haven't done that in a while since COVID. All right, so this guy is going to go right about there. I have been to some amazing places teaching scrapbooking class, friends. South Africa, all over Europe, Amsterdam, England, all over England. Australia, Sydney. My mind is totally drawing a blank. Sydney, and there's one in Sydney, I think that starts with not Sydney, but Australia that starts with a B. I can't remember. But all over the U.S. and Canada, and that's how I know some of you guys. Canada, Puerto Rico. So yes, it's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. Met so many cool, interesting people. I could tell you a story about teaching in Amsterdam. It's always Brisbane. Thank you, Nancy. I could tell you a story. Well, I could tell you a story. Why not? So we're going to take a little break for a second while I'm telling a story. We're squirreling for a minute. So I was teaching in Amsterdam, and this is a number of years ago. This is quite a while ago. And that was the first time that I was teaching in a foreign country where English wasn't the first language. So when I taught in Australia, no problem. I hadn't taught in South Africa yet, but that was okay. So I'm teaching in Amsterdam at a huge event. And the first class I'm teaching, there are about 100 women in the class. And I started off the class by saying, okay, how many people in here speak English? And everyone, oh golly, Valerie, we're so jealous. Valerie is, she's cut out because it's barbecue and swimming time in Arizona. Lovely. Anyhow, have fun, Valerie. If you're still there, enjoy. So I say to the class, how many people speak English? And everybody raised their hand. And I'm like, oh, goodness, that's awesome. And I teach the class. And I was teaching the class. It's about a 3-hour class. I was teaching a friendship book. And I had added photos to my book. And I had photos of me with different friends over the years. And on every page that I had a photo with a friend, I dated the page with a year. And I used number stickers. And so I think the very first one that I had in there was like 1974. And I said, okay, friends, here's my photo. Now that you've decorated the page, I've added my photo. And this is a photo of me and my friend sitting on a porch, 1974. So I took the number stickers you have in your kit and I put 1974 on the page because it's 1974. And that's the year of the photos. That makes sense. And everybody nodded their head and I said, great. And I kept teaching. When I teach, I walk around a lot because I have a hard time standing still and I like to see what people are doing. So I start walking around the room as I'm teaching and I start looking at people's projects. And this lady over here, 1974 on her page. This lady over here, 1974 on her page. And I'm like, what? And literally like 75% of the class had put 1974 on the page in their little mini book. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to later be looking at their album, their mini book, and someone's going to go, why does it say 1974? And they're going to say, I don't know. Some blonde from the United States was teaching me a class and she put 1974 on there. I don't know what it means, but I did it. So, lesson learned for Lael, when you're teaching in a foreign country where English is not their first language, you don't ask how many people speak English. You change one word up slightly. And you say, how many people understand English? Because I learned two totally different things. Now, of course, I realize if I had asked how many people understand English, I'm sure everyone in the class would have raised their hand anyway. But that's a squirrel moment. I don't even know what got me started there. But yes. Oh, yes. I don't even know how then. I was talking about, I used to travel a lot. Anyhow. Okay, so let's keep going. We have this little guy, our little nice quote that says the only way to have a friend is to be one. That will go just about right there. So it's hanging over the side a little bit, but it's also filling up a little bit of that space. And then we have that cute little guy that says happy. Now, you have another little strip that says beauty. You have a strip that says every day. I mean, you have lots of things left that if you wanted to kind of decorate this a little bit differently, you certainly could. But that's what I'm going to put there. And I'm going to use my little glue pen here just because I have a smaller space that I'm working in, and it's gonna be a little bit harder for me to get my tape runner in there. And that will just kind of go right down there. All right, there's my second insert. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things before then I do something on the fly that I do every time. You have lots of die cuts left, right? You have a lot of them. There are a couple things that really stood out to me in this set. And one of those things was all these little numbers, right? You have numbers, I think, 1 through 9. Well, these numbers would be perfect for making a list, right? So if you are listing with us on Saturdays, these would be great. Use these little numbers to number your list. Your top 10 or your top 4 or whatever, the list happens to be. Every day is really good. That's just a great generic, right? This bunny I thought was super cute. Great generic. That's just peachy. That would be really cute. Sometimes when we're doing our lists, we get a little tongue in cheek, right? So that's just peachy. Could be kind of a fun thing. Maybe you're I don't know, doing a list about your top, I don't know, let's see, top most embarrassing moments or something, and then you use, that's just peachy because it's kind of funny. Anyhow, you have lots of little pieces that you can use for lots of different things. But even this guy, I love this one. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That would fit right along the bottom of one of your pages. So, you could even put something like that here just to decorate your insert. So lots of extra little pieces that you can use for really whatever. Now, I was talking about these little guys earlier. And I was saying how these guys are a little bit different, right? They're not your kind of traditional looking flower. But there's a little tip that I have for working with something like this when it's pretty bold and I might not like to use the entire thing. But one of the ways that I can try to tame it down a little bit is by having it bleed off the edge and then cut part of it off. So usually what I do at the end of every one of our sessions, as we're setting up our Traveler's Notebook for a new month, I do a little bit of setup on the fly. And I do that in my monthly insert. So I use a monthly insert in one of my Traveler's Notebooks. I use quite a few different Traveler's Notebooks for different things. And when I say notebooks, I mean I use quite a few of these all for different things. But one of the inserts I use is a calendar. And I usually write appointments on here. I usually write, normally, if I'm traveling or my husband's traveling, those are the kinds of things I put on here. So at this point in our class, I go to the new month. And the new month is blank. Well, actually, I had started filling it out, and then I stopped. So the monthly inserts are undated. You can start using the monthly inserts at any time because what I just did here, May rolls around. This could be May 2021, 22, 23, depending on when I'm using it. So I had just started writing in the dates. But I like to use sometimes what I have left over to then go in and decorate my month. So that is what I did last month. I used some of the stickers and some of the paper strips, those are stickers, that I had left over after I had set up for April, and then just decorated my calendar. So there's March, there's February, there's January. Okay, so of course, I start out by outlining because it's just what I do. It's just what I do. My gosh, when we're done and I flip the camera, just know that I'm glistening, okay? That's a nice word. I feel like I ran a marathon. I mean, not because of what we've been doing, but like seriously, I don't know why I'm so hot. Okay, so there we go. We start with that. So what I was saying was something like this. If I put this right here and make it bleed off the edge, let's just go ahead and do that. So I want it to be over here. And make it bleed off the edge a little bit. And then I'll come in and cut the rest of it off. That way, number one, it's not kind of as prominent right? And if there's part of the design that I don't particularly care for, I can just cut it off. But number two, because I'm working in kind of a small space, for me to take like one of these guys and put it right there, I mean, that's taking up like 1/4 of my calendar, right? So by doing something like that, it really helps to still use it, but not as much of it. Another one of the things that I like to do, and I won't, well, I'll do this. Let's see. I'll use this little guide, but sometimes I'll take something like this and I'll have most of it be on one page, but then cut it and then half of it be on the other page, because then it helps to kind of just join the two sides together. So I think what I'll do is really just maybe cut this part off right about there, because I don't want it to be in the center. If it's in the center, it looks a little bit like a rocket ship to me. So now part of it can be on one page. And I like to do that with flowers because it's fun to kind of put a flower across 2 pages. Now, I did cover up part of Wednesday, but I know that after Tuesday and before Thursday is Wednesday, so I'm not too worried if I covered up part of Wednesday. And that also works for the month of May, because we have really this first whole week. Well, we're right here right now in April, right? So we have this first whole week that we can just kind of decorate if we want. So I cut that little piece off, and now most of it is on one side, but that other little piece is now on the other side. So it kind of helps to join that together. So here, what I'm going to do is I think I will maybe take one of these well, this is something I could do. I probably won't, because I think I'd like to use these for a list. But I could do, actually, no, I won't. I could do a 3 right there. So I could use, anytime I have numbers, I could come in and put some bigger numbers on any of my numbers. But I won't do that, because then it's just going to be kind of weird, because usually I would do that if I had a couple numbers. But since these are single digit numbers, it doesn't really work. I'll save those for something else. This little guy would be kind of cute. I can put these. Let's see, hold on. 7, 14, 21, 28, 29, 30 days, half September, April, June, and November. So, there we go. There's our 30 and 31. I don't know why. Oh, why was I doing that? I don't know. Yeah, I really have no idea why I did that. Anyhow, sometimes I can take little guys like these. So these circles, and I probably won't use this just because I kind of have that whole pink thing going on right here, pink and yellow. I can put something like that just in the middle of a day. Now, I would probably double check my calendar first to make sure that nothing was going on the 11th. But let's just say nothing's going on the 11th. And that could go just right there. And then every day could go down here. But I think what I will do here is I think I'll use a little bit more of my washi. Whoopsie. I'll use a little bit more of this washi. Wait, what? May 6th, what? May 6th, Kim, is your birthday on May 6th? Yeah? So we'll just do a little bit of, that'll just add a little bit of color down there. Now, what I may be able to do, I need to look for something. Okay. Nope. Actually, what I am going to do, I'm going to come in. I'm going to cut this strip off right here. Now, this is just the piece that was in my pocket. So it doesn't matter if I cut part of this off because it's hiding in the pocket. Because I want to use this for Fauci. Not to be confused with Anthony Fauci. This is Fauci. Fauci is faux washi. Fauci. So that's faux washi. I'm going to use that as faux washi because basically, if you didn't know that was a piece of paper and I had it torn like that and I had it at the bottom of my little piece right here, kind of like that, it would just look a little bit like washi. So I need to lift this up a little bit. Okay. Add a little bit of adhesive. And what I'm going to end up doing, I think, is probably, let's tuck that under here a little bit. Like that. And I'm going to cut this just like I did up here. Now, normally I wouldn't cut a piece of washi like that, right? I'd just run it through the whole thing like I did with this. But because this paper is a little bit thicker, I want to be able to close it and not to have that kind of buckle a little bit. So by cutting that, and I probably need to put a little bit more adhesive, let's do this. Because I want that edge right there not to lift up. There, so it's just barely on the other side, but that's going to give it what it needs for the book to open and close without getting kind of caught up in there. All right, so now then this I think is a little bit too long, so let's just come in and rip off a little bit more of that. Fashi, that's one of my favorite things to do with paper strips. It's a really good way to use your strips of paper. And even if you're not using a product strip, what I was first looking for, I would have loved to have a little bit of my, of this left over, because this would have looked really cute along there, but I didn't because we used it there and on this insert right there. No, you know what I mean, other insert. Okay. So now let's see, this could maybe, well, so this is what's happening though, right? I'm now starting to cover up the 28th and 29th. So the 29th is pretty much covered up. So that's kind of a lost cause already. But I could, if I wanted, put that guy right there. Now I'm decorating without filling out my calendar, which sometimes is dangerous, right? You might have something big going on some of these days and you've just like covered it all up. So I would probably come in and continue doing what I had done first, like putting all the days in and putting in what was happening on the days before I started decorating, but that's okay. All right, so then we'll just pick a couple more things. So maybe this guy is a little bit too wide. So I'm going to come in with my scissors and I'll just trim a little bit of that off and then trim a little bit of that off. And I want to do both sides so that this kind of maintains a little bit of an even shape, right? And then this could go maybe right there. And then I need to come in and just round that a tad because it has an angle on it. And then I just keep playing, right? So I'm just kind of using what I have left over and I could keep going. These are fun if you want to create different sections in an insert. So here's my insert. And if I have different sections here, I could come in and I would probably sandwich it, I don't know, maybe between two sheets. But I could do that. And then I have little tabs that stick out just a little bit out the edge. And then I have my little sections. Or I could do the same thing along the top. And just have it stick out a little bit of the top. And then I can see the different sections I have out the top. All right, so there's a little bit, right? I have a little bit going on. I would probably continue to dig through here and see maybe what else I had that might work. I love yellow, so sometimes I feel like I want to get more yellow in there, but I could do a little bit of layering, kind of like that, or if maybe there's something big happening this day and I want to point to the arrow like that. Let's do that. Like that. And that is probably as much as I would do. Ooh, nope, never mind. Nah, that needs to be there for sure. So I can just keep playing, right? You figure out pretty quickly when enough is enough, because then it just starts looking like you're trying to add stuff. But you can add stuff, doesn't matter. You do you. So I think what I will probably do is, where'd my tool go? My little magical lifter tool. It's funny. Sometimes I have to stop looking down and look forward, because forward I can see my iPad and sometimes it helps me see the things. But I don't know what I did with it. All right, let's try to lift. I just want this little guy to tuck right under this flower leaf. And that will go right there. All right, so now I would continue. I would come back in with my pen, fill in the rest of the dates, fill in everything that was planned so far for May, and then I'd probably decorate a little bit more around it. But a lot of times we have lots of things left over. Oh, there it is. In this case, we have lots of die cuts left over. So you should use them, right? Whether you're decorating a calendar, whether you are just decorating a plain page. You know, you may use your insert for making notes. And if you do, great. Take one of these little guys and pop it right there in the corner, because now you're just it's just happier, right? The page looks so much nicer. It's just much happier, even if you're just writing a to-do list. Pop a little something on there and it's just a happier list, right? We all have things to do, but if you can add your to-do list, even be a little cute, then add something to it. 9th, yes, good point. I should make sure to add that in there, right? 9th, that's Mother's Day. Okay. All right, friends. So I'm going to flip the camera. And I just have to say, I'm hot. So bear with me. But I will put back on my little sweater because sleeveless, and I'm not feeling like it's a good time to be sleeveless. All right, lights out. I also am going to just shut the blinds because a little bit. Because then the neighbors walk by and they're like, what are you doing? They all kind of know though. So, all right, I'm going to flip the camera and we will say au revoir or adios or so long or Hawaiian. Hawaiian is the same both ways, isn't it? Aloha? No. Okay, we're flipping the camera. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, friends. Whew. Okay. We're done. Let's get that straight so you can tell. Whew. Yes, so we are now set up. Our Traveler's Notebook is all set up for the month of May. So we're ready for May. And May 1st is Saturday. Saturday is National Scrapbook Day. Here, here at my house, at your house, wherever you are, on my YouTube channel. So lots of fun things planned. It's an all-day thing. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I had to do the math in my head because I'm an hour later. It's not much math, but anyhow, yes, here, and you can come and go. You can stay the whole time. I'll be catching up on some of my lists that I started but didn't finish. I'll be addressing some questions that I always get, like what happens when you get to the end of your Traveler's Notebook and it starts to come apart, and I cover it and we'll talk about that. I'll be doing some organizing, so I'm going to swatch some of my stamp inks, and it's just going to kind of be a fun day. A lot of you sometimes on Saturdays list with me, and other times you're just working on whatever, so it'll just be a fun hangout. All right, I'm looking now here. You're set up, I know, right, Jean Marie? And you're set up a day before, well, a couple days before, right? So we're good to go. Tell Nick to expect you. Kim, I will tell Nick to expect you. Nick will not be here. Nick will be at a funeral for a work associate. So he won't be here, but there may be a surprise guest. Again, who asked if he could come at the beginning. He asked me to call him at 9:40 so he could be here at 10. So we'll see. We'll see if he pulls through, but I think he will. All right, you guys. Oh, hi, Kelly. I didn't see you earlier. Anyhow, friends. So we're done. We're all set up. Stay tuned for an email. I'm going to say probably in the next 2 weeks. So about 2 weeks, 10 days. I don't know. I'll send an email with the specifics for our date in May to set up our June Traveler's Notebook. And we'll be using the other portion, the other part of the kit that we didn't use today. All right. So it's Thursday and Saturday's just 2 days away. So I hope to see you guys on Saturday at any time. We'll be doing giveaways all throughout the day. And if you were there with us for the big 52-week 1 year celebration, there were lots of giveaways and some good ones. Well, they're all good, right? Oh yes. And then there's a big sale. There are some new things, some bundles that I've put together for National Scrapbook Day with some really good prices. And those will go live on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. But I'll send out an email as soon as they go live. So watch for that. Or just go hit the website at that time and then you can see what's there. Okay, friends. And Kim, if you need to add anything to your order, because it's still waiting for you. Kim likes to add. Yes, love it. All right, friends. Oh, yes, Nancy, thumbs up. That's always good. And I will hopefully see you guys next Saturday. If not, I will for sure see you next month for the June part of our setup. Good night, you guys.